Welcome to Confessions of an SEO. This is your host, Carolyn Holzman. If you're new, welcome to the most non-SEO SEO podcast on the planet. This is what I affectionately refer to as love letters to the SEO industry and the businesses who they serve. If you're looking for shiny new SEO tactic, good luck, because if there's one in here, it's completely by accident. Mostly, this is the people side of SEO. My intention is to put a human face on our often misunderstood and often maligned industry. Expect to hear honest, frank, and blunt observations. Agnostic information about SEO from someone who's been there on both sides. A brick and mortar business owner just trying to get more business, and more recently, a reformed client SEO now seriously seeking SEO researcher and tester. I believe the farmer and the cowboy should be friends, that there's mutual revenue opportunity to be made when we can understand each other better. So if you're an SEO or a business owner out there working with an SEO marketing group or thinking about that, this is for you. Today, I've got voice SEO on my mind. Those who are frequently listening or frequent listeners know I'm developing a course on voice SEO, voice marketing. And those who are new, I was asked to speak at one of the top underground SEO conferences. It's called SEO Rockstars. I'd been attending these since they began in 2012 after the great Penguin update, which wiped out pretty much every site who had over-optimized their backlink anchor text profiles. So if you were in it to win it back then, 2 words, black dress. You know what I mean. All right, so if you weren't in SEO, funny story. Well, not so funny for JCPenney, definitely a cautionary tale. But the New York Times wrote an expose piece on how JCPenney was literally everywhere for specific types of clothing. And the one that caught everyone's eye was how prominent Penny's was in the search for things like casual dresses, evening dresses, little black dress, or cocktail dress. So in their research, they found all these backlinks and they presented them to Matt Cutts at Google, where in short order, these backlinks were determined to be outside of Google guidelines. They were sites that existed, it appeared, solely to hold backlinks that linked directly over to the company's website. JCPenney had hired an outside SEO company, and when they saw these links, they had no idea they were there. Google, however, called it a thing where they needed to take corrective action. And so in the Search Console, it looks like it's listed as a manual action, which essentially is where they're telling you they're going to specifically demote your rank for these keywords that they have found with these backlinks that they believe are outside of their terms and service. For instance, and this comes from the New York Times article, which you can find yourself. You can Google the dirty little secrets of search, and you'll find it. So at 7 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday, JCPenney's was still number 1 for the term Samsonite carry-on luggage. 2 hours later, it was at number 71. Also, at 7 p.m. on that same Wednesday, Penny's was number 1 in search for living room furniture. By 9 p.m., it had gone down to 68, spot 68. So you can see why a bunch of SEOs who had suffered a similar fate happily signed up for a conference that took place in the belly of a 19th century paddle wheel boat in Old Sacramento. I had actually, the woman who ran it, Dory Friend, I had sat on the bleachers at our son's Little League games listening intently. She was giving these free webinars to try and figure all this out because she'd also had a situation. Much the way that I had found that I'd gone nationally on page 1 for my number 1 money keyword to nowhere with a manual search in my Google Search Console, I was really interested in getting to that event. So fast forward, this is last fall, I was asked to speak at this event. And I was mulling over what to talk about to a room full of SEOs without talking about what everybody else was talking about. And at the time, I was playing around with Alexa, specifically podcast. So a mentor that I'd spoke with was saying, well, why not talk about that? Share what opportunities there are for SEOs. And thus the talk sprang forth from that, and from that talk came the call to create a course. So that's what I'm working on. So, voice. There are a lot of aspects to voice that I've discovered. Voice versus conversation. There's a voice ecosystem out there. And not all voice assistants are great at search, the kind that we do on a desktop. We're still discovering also what specific environments where screenless search provides a greater value than screen search. And it's very subtle right now. Interesting to note, too, that the general public thinks we're already at an on-demand voice point, when in reality, we aren't really there yet. And the other day I was talking about this with a colleague, this concept, and she was like, oh, that's already possible. So I asked her to do it. I said, talk to your voice assistant and order flowers. There were a lot of steps to it, and ultimately she would have still needed to call the place to order and to pay. So public perception, even amongst the most innovative of us, is not perfectly aligned with the reality. So you can see there is value in creating greater clarity in voice search moving forward. For instance, going from 10 links, which is what you typically find organically on a search page, to 3 or maybe even just 1 response is scary if that's the way the market moves. And we don't know yet, so stay tuned. I've developed a little talkable website. In fact, I would love it if you would help me. If you have an Alexa, you can talk to it anywhere, anytime, and say, Alexa, launch American Way Media. Or if you have a Google Home, then say, hey, Google, talk to American Way Media. I've been tweaking it, and I'd love to know what you think. I'm planning the course for all the paid participants to give a license to be able to create one of these for yourselves. You know, I just thought of something. If anyone is interested in getting their business into Apple Siri or like Amazon Alexa, let me know. Depending on the interest, I might offer this as a service. Crazy, right? Oh well. Anyway, watch this space. So this brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and feel free to send your questions and comments to confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com. If you want to go back and listen, you can check out episode 22, which is my take on Core Web Vitals, or you can look at episode 3, my first SEO client. And I do need your help to get the word out to other SEOs and business owners about this podcast. Please let your friends know about Confessions. We all stand to make more business and success for each other when we both, the SEO and the business owners, understand each other better. This is your host, Carolyn Holzman. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the